A very good morning, students. Well, students, we have been studying the active and passive voice chapter, and we had already finished the four tenses. And now we are going to start the fifth tense, that is past continuous tense. Now, first we will study or understand the rules. Now, see the helping verbs in the active voice. Was and were plus ing form. Okay, we had already studied about this in the tense chapter. Okay, now the helping verbs, important. Now the helping verb in the passive voice of this tense are was and were. Either we have to use was or were plus being, B-E-I-N-G, being, plus third form of the verb we always use in the passive voice. You know that. Okay, now we will study the examples. So first example is here. We were playing football yesterday. It is in active voice. Now the passive voice. Football was being played by us yesterday. Now see here, which is the object? Football. So football here becomes your subject. Then helping verb was, then according to the rule being, and then third form of the verb, and then by, and then us. Us is the objective case of we, and then yesterday. Okay, so this is the passive voice of this sentence. Now the next example, the gardener was watering the plants. Active voice. Now the passive voice, the plants were being, according to the rule, were being watered by the gardener. Okay, next example, this is an interrogative sentence starting with helping verb. Okay, was he writing a letter? Active voice. Now the passive voice, was a letter, object here becomes your subject. Was a letter being, according to the rule, written by him. Okay, now the last example of this tense, what were you doing? This is also an interrogative sentence, but it is starting with WH word. Okay, so let us understand how we have made. What was, actually we use the same WH word. Okay, what was being done according to the rule. Okay, what was being done by you. Okay, now the next tense. Your next tense is past perfect tense, and the rules are in the active voice, helping verb we already know, had and V3. Okay, third form of the verb. Now the helping verbs in the passive voice. Note it, had plus been plus V3, past participle form of the verb. Okay, now some examples. The players had won the match. Active voice. Now the passive voice, the match had been, according to the rule, won by the players. Next example, somebody had already warned him. Active voice. Now the passive voice, him is your object, it becomes your subject. So he had already been warned, and we have not used here by somebody. Why? I have already explained you that in this sentence the object is understood. Okay, now move on to the next example. Had he written a letter? This sentence is in active voice and it is starting with helping verb. Okay, so had a letter been written by him. A letter is the object, it becomes here your subject, and then him is the objective case of he. Okay, so it is made like this. The last example, starting with WH word. So let us understand who had written this letter. Active voice. Now, as I had already explained you that who is always changed into by whom. By whom had this letter been written? Okay, so this is the passive voice of this sentence. Now the seventh tense is your simple future tense. Helping verbs in the active voice, we had already studied it, will or shall plus first form of the verb. And now the helping verbs in the passive voice are, will be or shall be. We have added here be, and always third form of the verb is used. Now examples one by one. He will teach me. Active voice, me is your object, it becomes your subject, means I shall be, according to the rule, taught by him. Okay, so this is the passive voice. Next example, nobody will catch you. Active voice, you is your object, here it becomes your subject. Actually you remains the same, either it is used in object or subject. So you will not be caught. Okay, next example, will the postman deliver the letters? Active voice, it is an interrogative sentence starting with helping verb. So your passive voice is here. Will the letters is here in the active voice is the object, it becomes your subject here. Will the letters be delivered by the postman? Okay, now the last tense is your future perfect tense. Helping verbs in the active voice, see here, will have, shall have plus third form of the verb, we already know about it. Now the helping verbs in the passive voice, see here, will have been or shall have been, and then third form of the verb. Okay, now some examples. The first example is, the chemist will have closed the shop by 10 o'clock. Okay, so this sentence is in active voice. Now we will make the passive voice. The shop is your object here, it becomes your subject here. The shop will have been closed by the chemist. Chemist here is your subject, it becomes here your object. Okay, so this sentence is made like this. Okay, the shop will have been closed by the chemist by 10 o'clock, right? Next example, will the chemist have closed the shop by 10 o'clock? This is the sentence in the form of interrogative starting with helping verb. Okay, it is in active voice. Now we will make the passive voice. See here, this is your passive voice. Will the shop have been closed, according to the rule, have been, okay, see here, have been, will have been closed by the chemist by 10 o'clock. Okay, so that's all for now. Thank you.